request from Dutch government that they release my brother and sister because, I quote, it is for member states alone to ensure that their obligations regarding fundamental rights as resulting from international agreements and from their internal legislation are respected. Therefore, the Commission is not in position to comment on the fundamental rights or issues raised by the petitioner. This shows that the European Commission has double standards. When Ms. Tymoshenko was imprisoned, the whole EP and the European Commission demanded from the current Ukrainian President, Mr. Viktor Yanukovych, to unconditionally release her. My brother and sister were taken hostage and stripped from all of their human rights because the language that was spoken at home was Russian. Also, from the day one of hostage taking, my brother and sister were forbidden to speak with each other in Russian, with only goal to force the children to forget their roots, which is severe violations of basic human rights. This is a clear form of fascism. My mother won a court of appeals twice, and the ruling was simple: immediate return of the children to their mother. The workers of commercial social services company Salvation Army gave the judges the finger and went back to the lower rank corrupt family judge and arranged a new urgent permission of removal of the children within minutes after without a prior hearing. When we made an official complaint against the family of judge who gave the new permission for removal of my brother and sister after we won the High Court. In written response to complaint, she, probably blinded by her own arrogance, responded telling us that she considered that the High Court didn't do their job correctly by ruling in my mother's favor. So this lousy, low-rank child judge decided to be Supreme Court judge for a day. This is a severe form of power abuse, and no one in the Netherlands wants to do anything about it. It is extremely hypocrite that you can demand from a country which isn't even a member of the EU to release a prisoner, but somehow you cannot request a member state to stop this 2-year-long marathon of human rights violations and reunite the family. While you will be soon heading off to your comfortable homes, my brother and sister will going to be stuck at the hellhole that is the living facility where they are held and where they are not even allowed to eat whenever they want. I'm extremely disappointed in the European Commission. This shows clearly that issues like the maximum voltage of light bulbs is more important than lives of innocent children and their families.
We have a video now.
We may watch a video now relating to this item, please.
Er wordt niet gefilmd, meneer.
Wat hier aan...
Er wordt niet gefilmd, meneer.
Wacht even. Ik moet een bepaalde bewijs van massa
Ik wil naar mijn mama!
Pardon? Ja, maar dit is ongelooflijk. Jullie hebben tot nu toe ook eigenlijk amper wat gedaan. We hebben aangifte gedaan tegen de ex-man die de kinderen mishandeld heeft. En jeugdzorg doet er alleen maar alles aan om de kinderen met hem te krijgen, tegen hun zin. Maar het is ongelooflijk. Kijk wat er nu gebeurt. After
video, please.
After this, I recorded this video. This was happening when my brother and sister were removed. Immediately after this video, there was an international arrest warrant issued against me by the Dutch state, telling that I'm a terrorist and a threat to the state's stability. After a half year of chasing and 3 days in jail, they eventually dropped the charges, and as was later figured out, the prosecutor who gave the international arrest arrest warrant is in very close connections with those for social services. So this was a scare tactic.
Okay.
The Commission?
Mrs. Hoffman.
Yes,
This
thank
is-
you, Mr.
yes.
Chair. Mrs. Chair, of course, I think we are all equally touched by these very disturbing images, but I can only say I'm very sorry to tell to the petitioner's son that he is so disappointed with the Commission's reaction, because essentially I can only repeat what has been said before. The task is to examine whether there has been a breach of EU law in the case of the petitioner, and here, in cases of child custody, there is no basis in EU law to consider whether the Charter of Fundamental Rights, which prohibits discrimination, would also require that it concerns a case of implementation of EU law, which is not the case here. Granting of custody rights, arrangements for their exercise, and the role of the social and child protection authorities is simply not a question for EU law. And discrimination on the basis of nationality is only prohibited when it falls in the scope of EU law. For these reasons, I can only repeat what the petitioner's son did not like to hear, that the Commission cannot follow up on this. Thank you.
Thank you. It's obvious that we have a gap in legislation that has to be filled the quickest possible. Mrs. Danoga.
Yes, thank you. Chair, continuing your statement. Yeah, I think we do not want to overwhelm this gap in legislation, and there is a breach, by my opinion, just all of a basic principle of the European Union: free movement of people, a free movement of workers. Because we are hearing here cases from citizens of Eastern European countries, Western European countries, who are working, who were in other member states for work, yeah, who are living there as permanent residents. And what, for example, in the cases of Latvian citizen Antonova and Ilya Antonov, of Latvian citizen Laila Brice, we have in Latvian press now the information that it's dangerous to go to another member state for work, because your child can be kidnapped. And that is the breach of, and I repeat what my colleague Kinga Göns told, that we just can to refer to this principle which is breaking. We don't need only to speak on child adoption legislation, but on right for free movement of workers. Because these workers, they have families, they have children, and they are afraid to execute this right. And continuing the second, my second point, I try to be brief, is the behavior of Commission. You see, we see now so many officials representing Commission. You are full-day working officials there, and you do not want even to contact properly the member states. In the case of Antonova, I refer to the case of Antonova because we are seeing, examining this case for second time in 1 year distance. The first examination of that case was in February last year. And during that time, Commission did not manage even properly to ask from member state for proper answer. Only one letter was sent to the Dutch government, and the response was just neglecting the European Union as such, and the Commission and our committee, because the Dutch Minister for Justice just wrote, no, it was not only the reason why children were withdrawn from the families that they speak their mother tongue within the family, but there were another reasons, so there is no breach of international law, it's our interior Dutch matter. And Commission officials, you did not even manage to send another letter to the very same official to say by saying that your answer is not proper. You please answer us just deeply concerning the case, not like this. Yeah, and we even do not have now in the dossier the proper answer from Dutch authorities by having so long court cases, by having some decisions in favor of mother. No proper answer, and we have now here also a lawyer who is watching the case, but unfortunately Dutch authorities are completely neglecting us, and we smile and we do nothing. That's awful. Yeah, and I want, of course, support the idea to make a fact-finding mission to Britain, because we have a lot of British cases, but this is a matter of all member states. Yes, mostly with migrant workers from Eastern Europe settling in Western Europe. And that's a very dangerous tendency with kidnapping of children. We have to tackle using all instruments we have.
Mrs. Danoga, the Commission, do you have anything to add relating to the items we've been discussing up to now? If you wish to, to intervene, yes.
If I may, you asked to come up with suggestions. Well, we had our Commissioner, Vice President Reding, suggesting to abolish Article 51 of the Charter, which limits the field of application of the Charter only to when EU law is applicable, to have a general basis for the EU to act in the field of fundamental rights. I suggest that we will all lobby to abolish Article 51 of the Charter, so finally the EU can also act in the field of fundamental rights. And we would like the support of the Parliament for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah. When I was trying to respond to the petitioner, I meant to say also that, in fact, the Hague Conference has set up a working group to study the relationship between violence cases and abduction, perhaps to tackle situations like the one described by Mrs. Orosz. So that on the one hand, then also we've been accused, although the MEP is not here now, that we don't do anything. Well, we do what we can, and as much as we can. For example, there's this judicial network, European judicial network in civil matters, where member state representatives meet and discuss, for example, abduction cases and custody cases, and where difficulties that arise in particular cases are discussed bilaterally. And one of the topics that we intend, we've discussed this internally, and we would like to see a bit more in depth how we can help in all these matters that involve the social authorities. When access rights are granted to a parent, but the way in these access rights are granted, so that perhaps we can see whether there can be some common approach adopted by member states authorities as to how these access rights should be granted, even if they have to be in the presence of a representative of the child welfare authorities.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also just to finalize, also the MEP, I don't know the names, unfortunately, I cannot see the names, the gentleman that left. I would like to thank him for his intervention, because he did recall that, in fact, unfortunately, the law is at the moment what it is, and we cannot take it on our hands. So if there's a convention that has been agreed at international level by several countries, we cannot, even if we think morally and ethically that we are justified to take our child away because we have a case of violence. Unfortunately, if we do that, then we are faced with abduction proceedings. So it is perhaps best to check with some expert before we act as we think things should be done, because sometimes the laws do not agree with what we think. So it's best to avoid.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, I would very much like to thank the petitioners for their presence here. The members that participated in this discussion, the representatives of the Commission who somehow told about their difficulties in approaching gaps in legislation. In conclusion, the coordinators will prepare, in other cases, in the letter to Mrs. Reding, the Commissioner, not only the British cases will be highlighted, but a pressure to the Commission to rethink the ways in which such difficult issues as those discussed today are going to be solved immediately or very quickly. Otherwise, the European idea is endangered. So I give the chair to my colleague here, and thank you for coming.
Muy bien. Vamos a ver, hay una petición.